there's no way that you could convince me that she should not be on Team USA. Just from not just from a playing perspective, because playing wise, we see that she can ball with the best. Her team may not be that great, but individual player wise, I'm sure you put her on a team with a bunch of stars, she's gonna do her job.
Welcome to Feast or Fumble. I am the real Chris Mack here with a couple of my friends, Patty Puts, Mr. Chino. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Doing good. How you doing, Chris?
Good, doing good, man. We are back. Little hiatus for some summertime activities. You know, weather gets nice and people want to disappear, but you know, we're here, ready to do this thing. Topics galore. Lot to talk about. First and foremost, NBA Finals going on. What are your guys' thoughts? Mavericks, Celtics. Not the pairing I think a lot of people thought going into the postseason, but here we are. Who wants to kick us off?
I'll jump right into it. So yeah, definitely not the matchup we wanted to see. Obviously, as Knicks fans, I did not expect this to be a very close game. I think this might be a slight mismatch. I think the Celtics are just a little too deep. I love Luka and I love Kyrie, and I'm actually rooting for them in this series. But the Celtics just played extremely well. You have to be impressed by their performance. Their roster is so deep. With KP becoming healthy again and playing in the middle, and Al Horford being able to play in the middle on the defensive end. And then you have two all-NBA defensive players that are in the starting lineup that match up extremely well with Doncic and Irving. And Jason Tatum, who in his own right is a plus defensive player. So it's just going to be a difficult matchup for the Mavericks. I think the Celtics are just a little too deep, a little too long, and I think they're going to have a rough time the rest of the series. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, that's nail on the head. It is a tough matchup, man. The Celtics are just solid across the board, and it doesn't help, to be honest, that Porzingis is back. Like he is a mismatch for them, and they do a lot of like switching and pick and rolls, and like once he gets someone smaller on him, it's a total mismatch. So. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's gonna. I agree. I'm rooting for Dallas. I think that it would be a hell of a story if Doncic and Kyrie can pull it off and win this series, because obviously I know everybody's everyone's been picking the Celtics, right? It's like that's the team that's been the best all year, and they're here and they have the best roster and they should win, right? I think Dallas could pull off an upset. I think it's gonna come down to. Hitting their shots on a consistent basis, and team, like the role players are going to have to do their jobs. They don't need to do like 20 points, 15. They don't need to do anything crazy. They just need to do their job, because I think with Luka, as long as he can facilitate and also continue to take advantage of the mismatch, because the Celtics, I don't think anybody on the Celtics can guard him one-on-one, but he has to facilitate along with that. Like he has to be Luka. So, I think it's going to be a great series. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to go to 6 or 7 games, which I think all of us as fans would love to see. So that's my thoughts initially. Chris, how about you?
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Boston just has like superior team. Jason Tatum and Brown collectively are playing, pretty lights out right now. They're both plus defenders. You look at Jalen as well. He's a plus defender when he's on the court. Then you throw in Derek White. Then you throw in Drew Holiday and Porzingis, and you got a pretty stacked defensive lineup that can also light you up from the 3-point line as well. So it's gonna be tough. I know Luka has to like really play well and facilitate, but Kyrie's gotta get it going as well. I mean, they held him to 0 for 11 in that first game. I don't see that happening and the Mavericks winning this series. Like they need Kyrie to be somewhere in the 25 to 30 point per game uh, you know range for them to even have a shot at beating Boston. So that's going to be like probably like the key matchup for me. But then again, Boston just has so many guys you can throw at him. Whether it's Jalen, whether it's Drew, Tatum at times. So he's not going to be able to do like all of the dancing around, dribbling, getting to the basket, and then they're going to lead him into either Horford or Porzingis like when he gets there. So he's going to have a really tough time. But yeah, it's going to come down to whose role players are going to step up. And like we said, Boston's pretty deep. But I don't know. What do you think at all that the Mavericks have to do to edge one out, or at least make it like a series? Sean, what do you think?
You're muted, Sean.
I'm here. Sorry about that. Apologies. That's part of like one of the things like I hated about game one. I know it's we're small sample size here. We're reacting off of one game. And normally they always say, even like betting wise, it's like I really want to bet on that first game because it could go anyway, and it doesn't really ultimately dictate the entire series. So excuse me. So I think for Dallas to pull off this upset of everyone wanting Boston to win, they got to get away from playing the one-on-one ball. So like that first game, like it literally was one-on-one ball. I believe they had like 9 assists, and that they averaged double-digit assists. They averaged over 21 assists per game in the playoffs. So they got to get away from the one-on-one ball, and then they got to take advantage of opportunities. Too many missed opportunities. They were 25.9% from three. They average over 33%, and then free throws. Like I said earlier, Doncic, he's gonna get to his spots. He's gonna get to the free throw line. He's gonna score his points. Gotta hit free throws. They shot 63% from the free throw line, which on average they shoot you around 72 to 73% from the free throw line. Like can't have those missed opportunities. And I think, and as we've all seen all year long, like Boston is susceptible to getting lax and taking their foot off the gas and allowing teams back into games. And I think that's why I feel like this series is going to be a close series, because they're going to give Dallas opportunities. Dallas just needs to take advantage of those. I saw a lot of times during the game where Luka was getting wide open threes and just missing. And again, it's one game, so I don't think that's going to happen often. And also to Chris, your point, I don't think that Kyrie is just going to be pedestrian. Like I think he is going to show up. It's one game, so I think that's what would need to happen from my perspective for Dallas to take the series. What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys. The role players have to step outside of their comfort zone a little bit and make a little bit more of an impact. Daniel Gafford, I think he has the ability to step up in big moments. He has to play his role and play his game. He is a bigger dude. He is a threat inside. He has to play that way against Horford and Porzingis. You have to wear down Porzingis so that he can't do that stuff to you in next game. So between him and Lively and, Luka and Kyrie driving and kicking. That's exactly what you said, Chris. Go to the basket, kick it out. PJ Washington wide open for three. He could hit that shot. These are the ways that the Mavs are going to get back into this series. We can't see another 20-point loss where everybody's shooting jump shots all over the place and missing free throws. If that happens again, I fear for a sweep, but I don't think it's gonna. I think Luka and Kyrie are just too talented, and I think they're going to make the adjustments needed, and I'm expecting a big game out of Gafford in either game 2 or 3. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah, my money is also going to be on the role players of the Mavs to have a better game, particularly when they get back to home. That's just kind of like the way it goes for role players in the NBA. You nailed it on the head, Pat. Like PJ Washington, I think is going to have a huge impact in this series. He's got mismatches. Like he's one that kind of like matches up like size-wise with like some of what Boston wants to do. And you pointed out that he can hit that corner three, which he's been hitting pretty consistently throughout most of these playoffs. So I'm expecting him to have a big game. But yeah, the bigs also for Dallas have to step up. I mean, Gafford is really gonna have to like put his A game on to deal with Porzingis or Horford, who are both like very good rim protectors and also can knock down 3-point shots. Like I mean, Horford has shown over the last few seasons he's really good at knocking down 3-point shots, and Porzingis is just that unicorn nickname that he got earlier on. Being 7 feet tall and just knocking down threes from like anywhere is like scary. But yeah, I think Dallas is gonna make it a series. Can they win it? Time will tell. But I definitely think game 2, game 3. That's when you'll kind of see like Dallas make adjustments. We got to give credit to J Kidd too, because he's done very well this postseason. Taking lumps and being able to like figure out good strategies to like get his guys back in these series. So I'm looking for a much more competitive game the next go around.
Yeah, and just add some context even more so. Like when I mentioned assists, I was looking at it. They had 9 assists in that game. Celtics had 23 assists, which is not normal for that's usually where the Mavericks are. And then I think that they have a lot of length and size that can compete with the Celtics. And again, it is going to come down to the role players. I think Lively is going to show himself this game if he could stay out of foul trouble. That's the biggest piece. He got in early foul trouble, and nothing against Kleber, but he can't move. And what you noticed in that game is they kept doing the pick and rolls, and then ended up getting like a lot of times Kleber guarding Tatum, which that's not going to happen. Which a Lively, yeah, we're all good with that because he can move and he's got length and size. So again, yeah, I think we're all in agreement that Celtics are the better team, obviously, but I think Mavericks, they could pull this off. It's just everyone's got to do their job. That's it. That's what it's going to come down to, because Luka's going to do him. Kyrie's going to do him. They're going to get to the rack. Hit your shots. That's it.
Best games from role players. That's what they need. Their best games.
100%. I think only one person scored double digits off the bench, and I think that was it was Jaden Hardy, but he played that was after they were down 20 plus, and they waved the white flag. So yeah. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a good series either way.
Very cool. All right. Do we want to put any predictions out there? Pat, you said possibly a sweep.
I'm going to say Celtics in 5.
Celtics in 5. Sean?
I'm going against the grain. Mavs in 7.
Mavs in 7. You heard it here, for folks.
Reminds me of the year LeBron, and no point intended, Kyrie came back and beat the Warriors. They were undermatched team. They literally had 2 superstars and role players, and they made it happen. And I think the difference between the Warriors and the Celtics is once the Warriors are up, for the most part, they're up. This is a younger team, and yes, however you slice it, they do end up giving up big leads. Mm-hmm. And I think if the Mavs can do their jobs and take advantage of it, I think it can happen. So, Mavs in 7. Let's go. Mark it down. Write it in pen.
Oh, it's written. Because I'm going to bring it up.
Oh, we're coming back to this for sure.
What do you got, Chris? Go ahead, give us your.
I'm not gonna go. I don't think I'm gonna go too extreme with like a Mavs in 7 prediction. Yeah, I'd say give me Boston in 6. I think the Mavs are gonna play better at home, and that'll probably be where they get their 2 games. But yeah, Boston I think is the superior team, and as long as they don't, like Sean said, as long as they don't take their foot off the gas, I think they should be able to win this series. Cool. You guys want to talk a little bit baseball?
Yeah, gotta.
Gotta.
It's going
Got
on
you.
right now.
Yeah, it's going. It's the only sport that's like in full swing right now. No pun intended. Early MLB awards. Who we thinking for MVP? Who we thinking for Cy Young, Rookie of the Year? Pat, start us off. Give us some good picks here.
All right, so I guess we have to start off with the MVP race, which I hate to sound like a homer, but I don't really have a choice. You know, my pick for that is Aaron Judge. I just think he's making the biggest impact on his team right now. Right now, Juan Soto's a little bit banged up, and Aaron Judge is really, really carrying the load. He just had a historic month of May in 2024, one of the best months ever by a hitter, where he hit 361, 14 home runs, and 27 RBIs, while also scoring 28 runs. He's just doing everything for the Yanks right now. Their lineup is really operating at a high level right now. I'm really impressed with how he's played, and as long as Juan Soto's in the lineup and healthy, I think Aaron Judge is going to be protected, and he's just going to continue to have these fantastic numbers. So he's got to be my pick for MVP. What do you got, Sean?
Yeah, I don't care. I'll be a homer. It is what it is because it's the truth. I said this at the beginning of the year, and I'll say it again. Yankees are the best team in baseball for a reason because they have the best player in baseball. And yes, Aaron Judge the captain is here, and he ain't going anywhere. Whether we're down 10 runs, he's still smacking home runs like last night. So he leads the AL in home runs. He leads the AL in doubles. He's top 5 in majority of the hitting categories across the majors. And I think Mike, Pat, you spoke to it in the sense of like how he's been on a tear. Like last 7 games, he's batting 500, 3 home runs, 12 RBIs, 11 hits. In the last 15 games, he's batting over 400. He's constantly slugging over 1,000. Like he's raking right now at an all-time level, and it doesn't matter who's in front of him. Doesn't matter who's behind him. Does it help that Soto's batting second in front of him? Yeah, he's gonna see more pitches, but we saw it last 2 games. Like he's on a tear, and he's got Verdugo batting second in front of him, which nothing against Verdugo, but he's not Juan Soto. So, dude, somebody said it on the game during the game yesterday. They said, no matter who's in front or behind Aaron Judge, he gets to see maybe one good pitch per at bat. One good pitch. Because teams constantly pitch around him. And they even said that Judge is moving into that Barry Bonds stratosphere. Where teams, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter who's pitching, we're pitching around you on purpose because we do not want you to hit. And that's however you slice it, that's Barry Bonds-esque. Right? Because we all probably remember Bonds, bases loaded, we're intentionally walking you. Right? So we saw that last night, a couple of bats where first base was open and we're throwing you one strike. And outside of that, we're going to pitch around you and have somebody else beat us. So clearly Aaron Judge is the MVP. He's the MVP of this team. I know earlier in the season, Juan Soto was raking, and everyone was kind of talking about like Juan Soto, and the hype was all there, and Aaron Judge was in a slump. But then, again, like I said earlier, the captain is here. He has arrived. This is his team. So, MVP, Aaron Judge. Chris, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree. Although I think I'll go against the grain just because, Phillies are also in contention for best record in the MLB. I would probably give it to Bryce Harper if we're talking about who should be an MVP candidate. He's leading the Phils in home runs. He's having statistically pretty similar season to when he won the MVP last. So I think if the Phils win out, end up with best record in the league, it probably would go to him, maybe. But I don't know. Baseball fans are fickle, so and it's usually who has the better stats at the end of the season. Judge will probably still win it, but I'll put a little dollar or two on Bryce winning the MVP this season. we'll see. We'll see what happens. What are some of the odds for the MVP race, Pat?
So interesting you said that. So Bryce Harper is one of the favorites. In the NL, he's the second. Mookie Betts is going off at plus 150, but Bryce Harper's right behind him at plus 400. So dollar bet would only give you $5. That stinks. No, but right behind him is Shohei Ohtani. So it's interesting to see two teammates in the top three for MVP race in the NL. But you also have the same exact thing in the AL. Right now, Aaron Judge is the favorite for plus 150. Bobby Witt Jr., second place, plus 350, and then Juan Soto at plus 475. So you're seeing a lot of all these candidates coming from the same teams, and the same teams are playing really, really great baseball.
Sean, who is
I like the Harper. I like the Harper take. I feel like Alec Baum is the better. He's having the better season overall, though. But I think it speaks to what we're talking about. Like, Pat, you just mentioned the Dodgers. You mentioned us and the Phillies. Like, each of these teams have multiple players right now that are just raking. The Dodgers, I believe the Dodgers have the best top three in their top three hitters. They're the best top three hitters in the majors, which is crazy because that lineup is crazy, and we're seeing it these past two games in New York. So, but I think the Phillies in their own right, Bryce Harper, Baum, like, they're raking too. So could go any way. Could go any single way.
Do we have to talk about Suarez for MVP? Ranger Suarez is 10-1.
100%. It's the closest thing. Listen, I'm all about Louis Gill. I wrote it in my notes. I said, only player that scares me outside of him is Suarez. Solid ace right now.
10-1.
Chris, you were
but 10-1. But you're probably gonna say, like, oh well, the Phillies have only played how many teams over 500? In the same breath, you're gonna talk Suarez for MVP. That's a little crazy take. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't say it. Those words did not come out of my mouth.
They did not come out of your mouth, but you've alluded to them previously. No, I was gonna ask, since we're talking odds on who's gonna get MVP or not. Give me your what's the I don't know, what's the term? Who has like the best odds, like, if they become MVP? Pat, do you know?
Right now, it's Judge or Mookie Betts in each respective league. Aaron Judge is right now the favorite, and then Mookie Betts is also a pretty significant favorite.
Okay, who's your dark horse that, if you're gonna throw some money on, Sean, to be MVP?
If I had to pick, I'd say Alec Baum, because he's raking. He's in top 5 categories in majority of the hitting statistics in the NL, and obviously I know that. Remember, in baseball, there's AL MVP and the NL MVP. So, I know we're kind of talking like picking one person, but like, if I had to pick dark horse, Alec Baum. Like, again, statistically, he's in top 5 categories, top 5 in majority of the categories. So that'd be my pick. I don't know what the odds are off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty good odds if we wanted to put money on it.
Plus 2,000.
Plus 2,000. I like that. Pat.
Yeah, that'd be my dark horse. Yeah.
Pat, who's your dark horse?
I would have to go with Jose Ramirez out in Cleveland. Cleveland's doing a lot of really, really good things out there, winning a lot of baseball games, and nobody's really talking about them because they're Cleveland. We'll see if it transfers into the postseason and they can continue to play at this really high level. But he's just, he's a fixture in the middle of that lineup, hitting near 300, 30 home runs, driving in a ton of runs every single year. He's one of the most underrated players in baseball, I think, and I think it would be nice for him to get some recognition.
Okay.
It's a good one. That is actually a good one. Statistically, he's hitting the ball. He's not striking out. He's getting on base.
Nice. I'm going to name a player I know nothing about. but you literally just named one of his teammates, Sohei Ohtani. I'll throw my money in there. I know you said Mookie Betts is also in contention for MVP or candidate. Yeah, that's gonna go and be my dark horse, just because name alone, for some whatever reason. Plus, Japanese players are always good bets for whatever reason. I don't know if that has any merit to it or not, but that's what I'm sticking with. Mark it down. We're gonna come back a few months from now, and you're gonna be like, Chris was right.
I've got these noted.
Nice. All right. Moving on. Talk a little Team USA.
We're gonna talk more awards. We're gonna talk Rookie of the Year, Cy Young.
No, I was gonna completely gloss over all of those.
Take a sip of your coffee.
Take a sip of
the coffee.
Take a sip of the coffee.
Woo.
All right. Cy Young.
Cy Young, one guy, Ranger Suarez, right? It's
One
gotta
guy.
be him.
One guy.
It's gotta be him.
Sean,
come on,
come
man.
on.
10-1.
Who we got?
1.81 ERA, 85 strikeouts, which is also in the top 10. 10.2 Ks per 9, 0.85 WHIP. Who? Then who's the Cy Young?
Lewis Gill.
No, he's not.
Yep. You better stop right now. Don't do this. He's number one in hits against. He's number one in least runs given up. He's number one in batting average. He has just as many strikeouts. He's 8-1. He's second in ERA. What do we? Why not? Why not? The dude could possibly win the Cy Young and Rookie of the Year in the same year. And I told you, the biggest test will be tonight when he faces the Dodgers. That's a top tier lineup that he hasn't faced. But he's averaging 11 strikeouts per 9. The dude had 14 strikeouts the other night? What are we talking about here? Come on. I get you. Record, yeah, he's 10-1. Lewis Gill's 8-1. Come on. Give it
All
to
the
me.
important stats are there too. Let's not just say record. Everything's there for Ranger.
Everything is there.
Yeah.
But everything is there for Lewis Gill too. And again, we're talking about rookie.
Yeah.
Technically rookie. He's been a couple years, but technically he qualifies as a rookie. But his WHIP is under 1. It's .92. Again, best batting average against their teams are batting .129. And he's averaging 11 Ks per 9 innings. The he is dealing. He is dealing. And he's not even our ace.
To your point, Ranger Suarez isn't even the favorite for NL Cy Young currently. His teammate Zach Wheeler is.
Sure. And we don't even have Garrett Cole. Jesus Christ. No, I like both. Listen, I said it earlier. I like Suarez. The words did not come out of my mouth for MVP or for any award. But, yes, he in my notes, I wrote second best pitcher, Suarez. And I said this earlier in the year. I said the Phillies scare me. They're a really good team. They are a really good team.
The numbers continue to go this way, and, crappy opponents, good opponents, it doesn't matter. The numbers won't lie, and they'll be there at the end of the year, so.
Well, Chris said it. Chris said it best. You just in sports, you play who's put in front of you, and they're playing who's put in front of them. Their division is atrocious, but they're doing their job. They didn't pick who's in their division. They didn't pick the Mets to be this god-awful. Who expected the Mets to be this bad? No one. Everyone was speaking very highly of the Mets, and they are atrocious right now. So that's here nor there, and I think it doesn't help this cause that the Braves lost one of their best player. So I think it's going to come down to they were talking about it last night. Can the Dodgers get through it? Like, can they get to the World Series? Can they add some more pieces? Because I think their bottom of their lineup is very weak, like very very weak. So can they make the moves? Make a move or two to extend this into the World Series? Because I think the Phillies are a World Series team right now. Like, they're a World Series team today. And I think for them, the biggest piece is going to be just staying healthy. Like, if they can stay healthy, keep doing what they're doing, again, scary team. They scare me. The same thing applies for us. Like, I feel like we're a World Series team right now, today. And we don't even have the best pitcher in baseball. Now imagine he comes back, and obviously I know some things are going on with Soto right now, but like if we can stay healthy and play like this, World Series team. I think the Dodgers, though, they have a weakness in the sense the bottom of their lineup is very weak, and they need to make some changes, which I expect them to do. We're talking early in baseball right now. It's not even All-Star break, so we'll see.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Just the injury factor you brought up. Trey Turner right now is banged up, and if he's not right, the Phillies aren't right. Just like the Yanks, if Soto's not in there, they're not quite the same lineup. So it's a hamstring for Turner, which can be nagging. So just something to keep an eye on because he is one of the best players in baseball when he's in there.
Yeah, and that was my only. I was going to talk about this earlier, but like. You know, what I'm not liking right now is like Rizzo being a pedestrian. And John Boy was talking about it on Talking Yanks. He had said, what if the Martian comes back, he plays center field, move Judge back to right, and have Juan Soto play first base? I'm not opposed to that. I am not opposed to that at all. Because talk about the injury that Juan Soto's going through right now. He ain't gonna have to throw anywhere. He's just gonna have to learn how to play first base. I'm down to give him a shot because that keeps his bat in the lineup. Just saying. And it brings Martian back because he's crushing it right now. Dude's hit. I think every day I'm seeing a home run highlight. It's retarded. Like I think somebody said it's disrespectful what he's doing to our minor league players. He's just crushing our pitchers. He's hitting home runs left and right. It's out of this world. It's not even fair. It's disrespectful. That's all I gotta say. Just went on a soapbox there.
I don't know if he's got any first base experience. That is a tough thing for an outfielder to go outfield first base. I used to play a lot of infield, and even for me, I was like, it was a different planet over there at times.
You get all the action.
Bryce Harper did it. Just saying.
Bryce Harper. And he's a quality first baseman. Can't take anything away from him there. Yeah.
And listen. Yes, Rizzo's a pedestrian right now. Freaking old man Willow, but the man, he has a glove. So you mean to tell me that he won't give Soto some pointers if we went that route? Just saying. Just something to think about. Obviously, if something happens.
Going on a little bit of a tangent there, but I know Pat. Unless you're in a agreement that it's Ranger Suarez for Cy Young, I think we're pretty much there.
I do, yeah, absolutely. You 10-1 before the All-Star break. Like I discussed, if the guy wins 20, 25 games, you have to consider him as an MVP. One of the top 10. You have to. And again, it's not just the wins and losses because they're beating up on bad teams. The underlying numbers are all really, really good. And he's been up and coming for the last few years. He's just been doing it very, very quietly. He might not be considered the best pitcher on his own team, but he is doing his job, and he is doing it fantastically. I love the job that Lewis Gill is doing in New York, obviously. We get to watch him every fifth day, and he's fantastic. But I would have to put my vote on Ranger Suarez for, so far, the Cy Young winner.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Tops in the ERA. I think he's got a 1.8, 85 strikeouts. And to your point, Pat, over the last few seasons, he's been doing it very quietly, just very consistent, workman-like attitude. Ace on one of the best teams in baseball. So I think he's heads and shoulders above everybody else for the Cy Young. Rookie of the year. This is something I know very little about, so I'm going to defer to you guys. But I'll have a good choice, maybe an out of the box choice when it gets back around to me. Sean, who is your candidates for Rookie of the Year?
I'm gonna be brief and I'm gonna be bold. I already said who the Cy Young is, and obviously he qualifies for Rookie of the Year. Lewis Gill. And you know what? I'm going to use my Google machine because I want to know, has someone ever won Cy Young and Rookie of the Year?
Both?
Good question.
Because I would wonder, and again, I get everything that you're saying about Suarez. But remember, we're talking about a rookie. And yes, technically he qualifies as a rookie. He's been in the majors 3 years, but he had a major injury last season that shelved him. And then his first year, he was kind of optioned back and forth as a floating starter. But in his first season, as someone that's been pitching every fifth start, dude is dominant. He's an ace, and he's in whatever we're saying here. He's in conversations for both. Like odds, he looks good for Cy Young. He's leading the AL in rookies for Rookie of the Year. So again, my trivia question would be: who has ever won a Cy Young and Rookie of the Year in the same season? That's what I would wonder. So let's use the Google machine here.
Fernando Valenzuela, I believe.
Wow.
Is the only player on this list to win the Cy Young and Rookie of the Year the same season. 8 shutout as Fernando Mania.
What was his stats there that year? He's a closer. That's even easy. Oh, makes me ridiculous.
Nice. Okay. Pat, who are you thinking for Rookie of the Year?
Apologies. Yeah, I was trying to look up those Fernando stats. So it's pretty overwhelming for me. I think Lewis Gill is the obvious choice. We are very lucky that he stepped up into the role that he has because Garrett Cole has left a huge hole in the rotation for the first half of the year. Without Lewis Gill and how he's pitched, and I think the Yankees would be in a much more difficult spot and maybe not be the best team in baseball, perhaps. His stuff is fantastic. He's lighting it up. He's throwing 100 miles per hour. It is dominant stuff. It's fun to watch. Anyone that hasn't seen it yet should be watching. I did just want to note out another great rookie that is just up and coming, and I think we're still yet to see his best pitching, is Paul Skeens out of Pittsburgh. He is this young, big monster that throws hard, and he is not afraid of throwing to anybody. He challenges hitters, and he's striking out hitters at a great rate. So I don't know if it's going to be this year for Rookie of the Year, but maybe within the next 2 to 5 years, we're looking at like a Cy Young caliber pitcher.
Nice. That's nice. I like that. I was actually going to stay on the same team, and I was going to go with Jared Jones for potential Rookie of the Year. And mainly for the only reason he leads all rookies in strikeout percentage. So this kid is 22, he's got a big arm, and is going to go at you. He's got, I don't know how many strikeouts. I just had it up. Google, you're killing me. ERA is a little high at 2.6, and he's a little bit prone to give up, hits in later innings. But, you always got to appreciate aggressiveness with pitchers. And, if he's going to get you early, he's going to get you often. And he's probably going to strike you out. And again, it's one of those guys, he might not get Rookie of the Year this year, but we're definitely looking at a solid ace next 2 to 5 years. Pirates, looking pretty good coming up in the next couple of years. Team to watch.
Yeah, building through the draft finally. It took them a little while to figure it out, but they got some pieces in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm looking at I'm sorry, I had to use my machine.
Go ahead.
I'm just looking at Fernando Valenzuela. statistics during that season he won. Obviously, it was a long time ago, and the game has changed since. But I think the biggest thing that really stands out is that he had 11 complete games, 8 shutouts, 180 strikeouts in the season.
Whew.
But he went 13-7. So I'm just looking at both Ranger and Gill, like their dominance, like you said, early in the season, before the All-Star break. They both have really good records. They both are striking people out. Their ERA is lowest in the majors. I don't see why there could not be an argument for Lewis Gill to win both Cy Young and Rookie of the Year, just based on how he's dealing right now. And again, I told you, I'm stick to it. I want to see how he does tonight against the Dodgers. If he goes in there and keeps the same dominance performance against that lineup, we need to talk about it again. Just
Sean,
saying.
does his usage change when Garrett Cole comes back? It can't, right?
It cannot. It cannot. I think that one of two people need to go, and I just based off how he did last night, I have a feeling Cortez is going to. I think he should be taken out of the rotation. He's just I don't know what it is. Like once, and I've said this before about Nestor. Like once you get to the third go around in the lineup, it gets bad. It gets really bad. People start seeing the pitches better from him, and they just take advantage of it. So I don't know. That would be the person I would change. But Gil, no, you got to keep the same usage.
Yeah, I'd agree. A lot of Nestor's game is a lot of deception. He's a great pitcher, don't get me wrong, but so much has to do with deception. And by that third time, you're no longer deceiving the hitter quite as much. So
we've seen it a couple times.
Exactly. Coming out of the bullpen as a 2-inning guy, you could probably get through those 6 to 8 batters pretty easily because that's perfect for you. But that third time through the lineup, I totally understand what you're saying. Starting to get smashed.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be opposed to having him as our long reliever, to be honest with you. Like, I'm fine with that. Perfectly fine with that. Because he has shown that he can do that. He can come in, hey, we need you. Couple innings. Let's go. That's it. So, yeah, I think that would be the move. Smith will be the 5th starter. And then rotationally, if we need a 6th starter like Boone has done in the past, then we can use Nestor. But, yeah, I think really, and it's early in the season, but maybe later in the season, start thinking about moving him to the pen. The tough decision is going to be when we make it to the playoffs. As you know, we always go with that. Initially, we go with that 3-man rotation. Who's going to be the odd man out then? That's going to be tough, but it's good. That's good tough. Like that's a good problem to have, which we've never had.
No, it'll be right in the hot hand, and hopefully everybody's healthy. Knock on wood.
Yeah, 100%. So, we'll see.
I like it. Should have a lot to unpack next couple of weeks as the MLB continues to trudge along during the summer. So, but now we've made it to our favorite time of the show. Is it feast or is it fumble? Sean, give us what you got.
It's tough right now. I know there's a lot of controversy going on with the whole Caitlin Clark and players like purposely going after her and the games. They're only being physical with her. And I've been listening to it and watching different things on television. And I'll just say this: like the WNBA definitely doesn't get the credit that they deserve. They're getting a lot of hype now because of Caitlin's helping with that because she's been a megastar in the sense of college basketball, and she's bringing that to the W. There's no way that you could convince me that she should not be on Team USA. Not just from a playing perspective, because playing wise, we see that she can ball with the best. Her team may not be that great, but individual player wise, I'm sure you put her on a team with a bunch of stars, she's gonna do her job. But the other piece of that is just from a marketing perspective. I'm always big on this. I tell you all this. Like, from a business perspective, Caitlin Clark brings people and puts people in seats. Not saying that nobody else does, but just from a perspective of, like, she made people come and want to watch Iowa basketball, like women's basketball. Like, so marketing perspective, like, there's no way you could tell me that she shouldn't be on Team USA unless you're saying that she's going to be a distraction. That's the only way I could see it. That's the only way I could see to make it make sense that, oh, she's not on this team because we don't want a distraction. Outside of that, there's no way you could tell me she's not one of the top players in W, and you can't tell me that she's not going to bring market revenue in. There's no way you can tell me that. Mm-hmm. So that's my thoughts. So I think it's a fumble. Pat.
Yeah, Sean, I'm totally with you on this one. This is an absolute fumble. You just said it. Marketable. You know, what are we talking about here? We're talking about people that watched Iowa women's basketball for this girl, guys. Like, wake up. Like, I don't really know what's going on in the WNBA. I'm not crazy about it. I understand forcing a player to earn their flowers, to be extra physical, make sure that they could actually earn all this recognition, make sure that they're worthy of all this play. But we don't want the WNBA to turn into the WWE, where we have Caitlin Clark versus, Angel Reese, and she's this bad guy or she's this bad guy. You don't want these storylines. Just go play good basketball and let that speak for itself. You can't tell me that Caitlin Clark wouldn't have a role on this Team USA team. It makes no sense to me the way she could carry, the way that she could dribble the ball, and the way that she shoots the three. If nothing else, she has a role on this team. I think this one is a fumble. I'm not really sure what everyone's thinking or which direction we're headed. She passes the eye test. Watch her play basketball for one game, and you'll know that she deserves to be on that team. What do you got, Chris?
I think this is a fumble for multiple reasons. First and foremost, it's a fumble for the WNBA because they're trying to make it not a Caitlin Clark versus the league type of thing, but let's be honest, the WNBA has been around for almost 30 years at this point, and this is the first mega star, I guess you could say, that they've had in its whole existence. I mean, there's been very good players that have come into their league, but none, I think, have gotten the media attention that a Caitlin Clark has gotten, and deservedly so. She's a hooper. She can ball. She's probably gonna go down as one of the best shooters that league has seen, or one of the best shooters overall. I mean, she's putting up Steph Curry-like shots on the basketball court, and she's got she basically is the female Steph Curry of the women's game right now. And for the WNBA to have these issues that they're having, where she's getting targeted basically in every arena that she goes into, where they're trying to knock her down and stuff like that, it's they have a larger issue here. It's the players have been complaining that oh, there's no viewership, there's no fans are not engaging. Well, here you have a cash cow, basically a way to draw new fans to your game, and you're having these kinds of issues. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece of it is yes, as a basketball, strictly as a basketball talent, she definitely has comparable skills to a lot of people that would even get brought onto the USA team. Now, does she have to be in the top 10 rotation? Probably not. But even just for the marketing aspect of it, again, bringing more attention to the women's game, which then will increase profitability. From a marketing standpoint, it just makes a huge amount of sense to have her, even if she's the 15th person on the roster. You still want to have her invited to Team USA. So I think this is a huge fumble from multiple angles, and I really hope that she ends up making it on, because she is bringing eyeballs to the game of basketball, for better or for worse.
Yeah, and it's disappointing, but I get it. I think that here's the other thing, when it comes to like certain sports, like we know this, like USA is dominant in certain sports. Like certain sports, like talent wise, are just really dominant. And when you think of women's basketball, we are really dominant. And I think just trying to, I guess, play devil's advocate here because yeah, we all agree that it's definitely a fumble. But just looking at this roster, I had to double take it. I was like, all right, I just want to take a look at the roster because that's one thing I didn't do. I was just looking at just Caitlin Clark and like that as the idea of why she didn't make it. They are guard heavy, and that may be why they didn't. Maybe that's why they're going to justify not putting her on her. You got Diana Taurasi, you got Cooper from the Mercury, you got Chelsea Gray, you got Jackie Young who just broke now the second player with 300 threes and points to Diana Taurasi. Then you got Kelsey Plum out of Las Vegas. They are guard heavy. Oh, and then Sabrina from the Liberty. Like, they are guard heavy, and maybe that's the excuse. I don't know. Still doesn't make sense to me, but I don't know. Maybe they didn't want a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I think that might have a little bit more to do with it. It's like, you want proven players on your squad, and I would have to look at her stats right now, but I don't think she's like overwhelmingly like blowing anybody out the water with her play right now. She is highly skilled, which definitely goes in her favor, and she has a very specific skill set that would warrant her being on the team, like being a phenomenal shooter. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think if she would have came in and she was going through all she was going through and was like averaging 25 30 points a game, then it'd be a little bit more atrocious.
Yeah. Sean, just how dominant is women's basketball? They're consistently gold medals, right? They're consistently dominant. So maybe
consistently dominant, then just top to bottom roster wise, like talent wise, is just always solid.
So
like where other countries may have like 5-6 players that are really good, like like women basketball, like every player is better than the other player on the other team.
Yeah, so maybe that's about, we're consistently good. We're consistently at the top level. Do we need Caitlin Clark on the squad right now? Because we are already this dominant presence in women's basketball. But I will tell you this, the Olympic Committee that cares about Olympic ratings, they wish Caitlin Clark was going to be there. If Caitlin Clark was on the roster, I'd be watching the women's basketball games.
Yeah.
Now I won't be. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it's like the same thing that happens with like women's soccer is like, that's the only reason that you watch women's soccer in the Olympics is because Team USA historically has been so dominant. They just go out there and just like they're crushing competition. So like, I think these leagues and committees need to like really take a hard look at like what they're trying to achieve here, and if it's growing their sports, growing their game, growing viewership, they need to start looking at things more from like a marketing perspective and really take hard looks at like who they want to have like in their organizations and who they want playing, because it matters. Like it really matters. Yes, you have to be like supremely skilled. You should really be a talented player to be on these teams, but at the same time you do also have to look at, all right, what's gonna like grow viewership.
Yeah, and I was just reading this report that Christine Brenner from the USA Today had said the concerns with Team USA of how Clark's millions of fans would react to what would likely be limited playing time on a stacked roster. So if Caitlin Clark, let's just say hypothetically, was put on the team, she probably wouldn't play it. And we've seen this in men's basketball USA too. Like,
oh yeah.
Rookies make the team, but they don't end up playing. They just sit on the bench and they're just part of the team. So would that cause outrage in the sense of like we're putting one of the best players in the game right now, even though she's a rookie, we're putting her on the bench and she's probably not going to play. Is that going to cause additional outrage? And then it goes to my point. What I said earlier is that now a distraction? I don't know. I'm playing devil's advocate.
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, we're going back a ways, but you remember Christian Laettner was on the Dream Team.
Yep.
Did he play? No.
Nope.
Was there any shot of him playing? Was he a distraction? No.
But he ain't Caitlin Clark. He ain't Caitlin Clark.
He isn't Caitlin Clark, but I mean, I'm assuming it would be like a similar situation where like you're putting her on the team for the media, hype that's going to be around it. You know, it'll be up to her if she actually like makes the court, through her play or
Would
in
it be up
practice
to
and
her?
stuff. It might not be up to her, but I mean, I would still do it because it's only gonna what it's gonna do. It's gonna further the her own like legend of being like a rookie player coming into the league with all the media fanfare that she's had. And secondly, what it'll bring more attention to Team USA, good or bad. I mean, obviously, if they lose, that's going to be like the narrative is like, oh well, you guys didn't play Clayton Clark, so, but like I don't know. I kind of have like a overall sentiment about these types of things with like men and women's sports is like, okay, you guys want to like do everything and get all of like the media attention that like the male game gets, but then like when you have opportunities to do that, you want to talk about, well, we don't want to bring like all this attention and blah 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 blah. I guarantee you, if it was the dream team and there was a sensational player on the bench, the men's game wouldn't change at all. The coaches would still play the same plays. They would still play the same players and just kind of keep it going. But for whatever reason, they can't seem to get it together when it comes to the women's game. And this is what they asked for. They wanted more attention. They wanted, players to get played more. And this is what's going to lead to that.
Mhm.
So, I don't know.
Exactly, Chris. You got it right. Any attention is good attention, whether it's positive, negative, whether it's drama, whatever it may be. Any attention is good attention because it brings more viewers to your sport. They're concerned about these Caitlin Clark fans watching the game and watching her sit. These Caitlin Clark fans are also going to be able to watch these other WNBA players that are special, and maybe they became fans of these other players. So it's a new platform by putting Caitlin Clark on the team. Whether they like it or not, she's making an impact. So take advantage of the impact. It's silly not to. And she's just too. Yeah, I just don't understand how she doesn't have a role on that team. But I do expect Team USA to be fine and win the gold medal. It's just you'd get much more viewership and it would be much more marketable if Caitlin was there. And those are the facts.
I think you both hit the nail on the head. It's WNBA wants more attention. They want more people, more eyes on the game. Caitlin's a part of that, and I think the argument from the past players in the W and former basketball players is kind of like, well, the W's always been good. Like, these athletes are good. Yes, they are, but from a marketing standpoint, nobody's done it like this, like stratospheric type stuff, like that type of attention, which is good, right? It's making more people want to watch the WNBA. It's kind of like when Michael Jordan came into the league. Like, nobody was really watching basketball before then. Like, they were watching it, but they weren't really watching it. But then comes Michael Jordan and marketing, like, puts more eyes. Demographic. It's kind of like we've talked about in the past about the Swifties. Like, it brings attention to somewhere and brings a lot of money. And from a business perspective, it just makes sense to do it. So, yeah, all good. It is what it is. I know they haven't named alternates, but at this point, yeah, she wouldn't make the roster unless they named alternate and somebody stepped down.
Well, hopefully she gets there because the WNBA needs it, and I think this would definitely help out their viewership problems that they're having. All right, what else do you got for Feast or Fumble, Sean?
So, we've seen some news recently, not with just Shohei Ohtani, but we saw recently baseball player is possibly going to get banned for life for betting on sports. Feast or Fumble? Athletes, is it okay for athletes to bet on sports? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I think I'll go first on this one. Feast or Fumble?
Just make your decision right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna make my decision up in the air, in the sky.
Or did
'Cause
your
that's
brain fumble?
I swear, my brain definitely fumbled. No, okay, so let me understand the question. Should athletes be able to bet on sports, feast or fumble, or okay? Um,
Yep.
yeah, I mean, I'll feast on athletes being able to bet on sports, because like a lot of times it's based on their performance. So I mean, the only case I could see it like being a problem is like if you're on a team that's favored to win and then you like sandbag, because then you can affect the outcome of the game. But certain players in certain sports don't really have like that much impact on the overall like scheme of the game. Maybe if you're like an offensive lineman on a football team and you let a sack up or something like that to cover a spread or something. But I mean, I don't know. In certain sports, I think it's harder to like impact the game directly like that. I would be more opposed to like officials betting on sports because they have like direct control over what happens in a game. You know, call taking away a basket for like a travel or a foul call or not calling a foul call could definitely like swing momentum in a game. So I'd be probably more opposed to that. But yeah, I think I'm feasting on this one. But I could be convinced otherwise. Pat, what do you think?
So I do not believe that a professional athlete should be able to gamble on sports at all, at any length, on any sport at all, period. I think they've reached a certain stature in society and they are a professional athlete. God gifted them with talents to become a professional athlete, and usually, for the most part, they're earning a pretty decent buck. As soon as you retire, absolutely, I think you should be able to gamble. But once you're in that league, I think you should have all of your access to betting and gambling websites blocked, and that you should just pursue your career, and that should be that. Insider trading information. What we've seen with a lot of these gamblers are really, really bad at gambling. Like a lot of these people that have been suspended, like Marcano, he lost 96% of his bets. He lost every single bet that he placed on the Pittsburgh Pirates, his own team. Every single bet. It makes no sense. So it's kind of like backwards that these guys that are like gambling and actually on teams can't win a single bet. But I do absolutely think that that professional athletes should be completely banned from gambling. So I think I'm feasting on that thought. But one other thing I want to touch on is that I think Ohtani has to absorb some kind of punishment. I think something has to happen here with him. I think there has to be some sort of investigation. I think they need to dig as deep as they possibly can. I don't want to see a Netflix doc 5 to 10 years from now saying, "Hey, we should have suspended Ohtani. He gambled so much." I don't want to see that. I know he's a great player and I know his impact on the sport, but you guys make sure that he's not doing anything illegal. Sean, what do you got?
I'm 100% with you, man. Like, they're just athletes are part of like not in a bad way, but they're part of like a secret society, right? Like they're part of a group of individuals that are a different stature amongst us regular folk, right? And Chris, to your point earlier about how you mentioned like they don't have a direct influence in the game. Technically, they do in the sense of they know things that we don't know. So like for the Jonte Porters, like he knew that he wasn't really going to get that many minutes in a game. So he could technically say, "Hey, bro, like go bet my unders." Because every time I know I'm going to be under because I'm not really going to get to play like that, right? So he has a direct influence in that sense, right?
Hmm.
So I think that they know things that we don't. We go based off of what the media shares with us.
Yeah.
They're on the team, right? I just think that if you're associated, whether it's a player, coach, to your point, Chris, a referee, like if you're involved with sports, you should not be able to bet because in some way, shape, or form, you could give some kind of insider information.
Yeah.
That's the big.
I mean, I get that. I get that piece of it. Like, yeah, if I know I'm not gonna play, sure, bet the unders. Like, bet all the unders. Yeah.
Yeah.
make.
If I'm getting 2 minutes a game, I know
Yeah.
I'm not hitting the over.
Yeah.
And I could also just not shoot the ball, and that could hit. I'm gonna pass it every time I touch the rock. That's the under every time.
Be like, what's the over 8 points? Oh man, I got 7. Just like, pass it off.
Nope, dish.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was looking at it, more from like the perspective of wins and losses, like money line, that you wouldn't necessarily like be able to like affect too much as a player, versus a referee could very much affect, money line over unders when it comes to wins and losses. So I mean, I get there's with this betting, like there's multiple layers of like things you can bet on, like freaking who's gonna score the first point in the first 3 minutes of a game, like that. When you're getting into like the minutia of those stats, like it's very minuscule versus like, okay, who won the game overall, which I put like a whole, I guess, more like weighted stake on that ability. But yeah, I think I agree with you, Sean. Is like once you get to like a certain point, as an athlete, official, referee, yeah, sports betting should not be in. You shouldn't have the ability to do it. What are your thoughts, Pat? This is kind of like your specialty. So, what do you think about it?
I'm totally with you guys. I completely agree. I think it should be off access, but I don't think it's possible. I think now in the world that we live in, I think basically you could find betting by any means necessary. You could be 3 guys removed and place a bet somehow. You could use some other guy's account. So I don't think that there's a perfect way to police it, but I think they're trying their best to make it all the punishments so severe that they're trying to keep it out of the games, and I think that's all you can really do.
So let me throw this out there. We all know that arguably best hitter of all time is Pete Rose. Mm-hmm. He's not in the Hall of Fame because he bet on sports when he was a coach, which was a long, long time ago. Should he be in the Hall of Fame?
Don't take away what the guy did on the field just because he made a decision off the field. Still, probably top 3, top 5 best hitters of all time.
Yeah, arguably best hitter of all time.
Yeah.
But to that point, though, what we're arguing right now is technically he shouldn't have been allowed to bet on baseball. That's the tough part, right? I agree with you 100%. Like, I'm feasting on the fact that Pete Rose is arguably best hitter to ever pick up a baseball bat to this day. And even though we've seen the Barry Bondses and the Tony Gwynns and all these hitters that have come across our eyes, but yeah, Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame right now because he bet on baseball as a coach.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm funny story. I met Pete Rose like in the Borgata in 2013, and like I think I have a signed thing of his like somewhere.
What?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Random time meeting Pete Rose in the Borgata. He was like, wearing his drip. He had on like gold chains and like was signing autographs for people.
Pete Rose, man. What do you got in that coffee over there? Let me change subjects here.
Not to change subjects, but I think it was a different time too. To like Pat's point, like back then when he was betting, you actually had to like go to a bookie and like put down like numbers on stuff, whereas like now that sports betting is legal, you can literally like pick up your phone and like do it from your couch. So I mean,
have your agent do it for you.
That's true. You could have like your agent do it for you, but still, someone actually has a ledger with like Oscar Wilde's in it that is Pete Rose's like alias name with him betting on sports. But correct me if I'm wrong. What was he actually like betting on? He wasn't betting on like his own teams, was he, or was he betting on his own teams?
He was betting on his own teams, not his teams. He was betting wins, losses, runs, things of that nature. Okay. He was a coach, so he wasn't playing.
Yeah, so I mean,
but I don't know the full. Like I'd have to like do deeper research, but like that's kind of like my understanding, the gist of it. is
Yeah.
that he was betting on wins and losses, runs, over-unders. Because back then, that's all you really bet on. You bet on, like, hits and total bases and all that stuff. It was kind of like win-loss or how many
Yeah.
runs are going to be scored.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of goes back to like my point earlier. Like, it's not so much that you're betting. It's like what you're betting on. So like things that can like more directly like impact wins and losses. That's where I think I have like more of like a firmer stance of like, oh no, that you shouldn't be able to bet. Versus like if I'm just betting that some random player on like the Colorado Rockies is gonna, you know, hit the ball once out of like 4 at bats, I don't really think that impacts anything all too much. Especially like if I'm not doing it directly, I'm just telling like, hey, place this bet and give me a little kickback here. Also, you got to think too. Pete Rose played in a time where like you weren't really getting paid all that much as an athlete. I don't know, what was he in the 80s? So I mean, he was still making decent money, not astronomical money like athletes are making right now. So I mean, that I even think that's like talks to the nature of like how much money these leagues were making at that time in the first place. I don't know. I just kind of have like I weight the actions a little bit differently, but I think to like Pat's point, you might just want to like squash it all across the board.
Yeah, yeah, there's two things that are blocking him from doing that, and the only way that it'll change is if Manfred or whoever is the commissioner of baseball moving forward takes away the lifetime ban, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, I believe the Hall of Fame has the rule that if you're on an ineligible list, no matter what, you can't even be on the ballot for the Hall of Fame. So I think that's why Pete's not on the. I think that's why he's not on the ballot, right?
Yeah, I think you're correct. But the whole thing is the direction that the gambling and the financial implications, where everything's headed. You need to have this very strict rule, and you have to stick by it. Like you can't suspend Marcano for life and then give Ohtani the pass. It has to be for life for everybody. We don't want to, have, let's say, I don't know, Kyle Schwarber betting on baseball, and he because it's Kyle Schwarber, he gets a pass, and then we're inducting Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame within the next 10 years because nobody cares anymore. No, it has to be strict, and all the implications have to be very, very severe. Otherwise, we're just going to see this continued insider trading information and not really know what's going on behind the scenes. I think it's a tough line to walk.
100%. But I think we can all agree, and this is probably every baseball fan in the world, that Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah,
officially.
For sure.
So it'll be a topic of conversation as we continue this journey on life. So that's all I got.
Speaking of bets.
Speaking of, no point intended.
No pun intended. Pat, what do you got for us? Best bets.
All right, guys. This week I got a couple to keep an eye on. We talked a lot about these pitchers that I want to talk about. Luis Gil is having an unbelievable year. Every single time he pitches, you should be looking at his strikeout totals. Strikeouts of 7 or more, you want to bet. I've taken it the last few times. I think he's hit it several times in a row. He's just got the electric stuff. He's throwing over 100 miles per hour. He's not afraid of challenging hitters. The other one is Paul Skeens. He's the Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher that we just discussed. He's just another big, young guy that throws extremely hard and has electric stuff. Again, anytime you get the action for 7 or more strikeouts, I would recommend taking it. My bet of the day today, we're going to focus on the NBA. It's going to be Drew Holiday over 12.5 points. Drew Holiday is a hell of a basketball player. Offensive, defensive, he really does it all. He might be one of the most underrated players in the NBA. He's hit 13 points or more in 8 of his last 10. He can make his own shot. He hits the open three. He does pretty much anything that Boston needs him to. So I'm going to be hammering that one and take home a little bit of money.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah, I like that pitchers. I've been doing some of those and diving into those like 7+ strikeouts, 6+ strikeouts. I like the Gill, and it would be even amazing if he does it today.
Yeah, sure would.
Just saying.
Take the over on both pitcher strikeouts today. Glass now versus.
Ooh, it is Glass now. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let me see.
Very cool. Last thoughts, guys. What are you looking forward to?
Looking forward to today. The Yanks closing out the series against the Dodgers. It's been a tough 2 games so far. It is a little scary as a Yankees fan seeing the Yanks without Soto in the lineup. They're struggling a hair, but Judge is still doing his thing. I think with a few adjustments, we'll be just fine. And Garrett Cole is doing his rehab starts. He is on his way back, guys, so get ready. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball, so the Yankees are going to get better. I can't wait for the next several months. I think the sky's the limit with this Yanks team. What do you got, Sean?
We're on the same page. I said it earlier. Jason Dominguez, he's been tearing up our freaking prospects, smacking our prospects pitchers with the bat, like literally hitting a home run every night. Like he's making our farm system look atrocious pitching wise, right? But that's a good thing because we know the Martian is who he is, right? And we talked about this early in the beginning of the season, like where's he gonna fit in when he comes back, and we're gonna have to figure that out, like quick. Because one, I don't want to see Trent Grisham get on the field ever again. To be honest with you, so he's atrocious. I like his stash though. I like his mustache. So shout out to his stash. But yeah, I look forward to Jason coming back and Garrett Cole. I say he's the best. He's the best pitcher in baseball, and we are arguably the best team in baseball. And we don't have the best pitcher in baseball. So what are we talking about here? So yeah, I look forward to this season. We haven't been hopeful Yankees wise in a while. You know, I know we're always good and we're always there, but like this is a year where I could probably compare us to like the '98 team, where just hitting wise we're studs, top to bottom, and then pitching wise we're legit. So yeah, I look forward to what we could do moving forward. I also look forward to NBA Finals Game 2. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think if my Game 7 prediction, if the Mavs can steal a game in Boston tonight, feel good about my predictions.
I think they need it for 7 games.
Yes. Chris, what do you think? What you got on your mind?
Yeah, I'll say NBA Finals Game 2. It's gonna be one to watch. Looking for Kyrie to have a bounce back game, and Luka to just continue what he's doing. Hopefully, the Mavs steal one, like you said, Sean, and then probably gonna go find somewhere to watch the Phillies game because they're playing right now. They're out in London, so early game. Yeah, see how that goes. Oh, this guy. Listen, man. Just stop with the hate. Like you know what it is.
They're playing the Mets.
You know what
Somebody said that. Someone said this yesterday. Said David Ortiz said it. He said the Mets should just come from under the Yankee shadow and move to like Oklahoma or something. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. I don't want to hear it anymore. It's atrocious. The Mets are terrible right now. Bad.
What about if they were like the New Jersey Mets?
Ooh.
What?
I think I'm gonna throw up.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah,
No.
the Mets are
Pass.
bad. Mets are bad.
They are bad.
It's all good.
Wasting Pete Alonso's career.
True. I mean, they've wasted a lot of guys' careers, but I mean, is what it is. That's gonna bring us to the end of this pod. Remember, everybody, like, share, subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Boost us up in the algorithms. For Mr. Chino, Mr. Patty Puts, I am the real Chris Mack. This is Feast or Fumble, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.